All right, folks, good morning. Good Tuesday morning. Welcome aboard our special 3 free live trade briefs this week. Going to knock out a 2025 debrief, another historic year here at Top Gun Options, and also a 2026 targeting brief. What's on my radar for next year, how I'm going to trade it for max profit. If you got the alert on the S&P 500 bull put spread, you can close that now for 35%, $800. I just sent that out in the Hunters and the Lifetime group. You can go ahead and close that if you want right now. I'm going to hang a little bit longer. I think we're heading up to 68.25. But if you got the sniper on, you're up about $800 in, what's that, 10 minutes? You're welcome. Okay. Appreciate your flexibility. Yesterday, flew back from Aspen. Just another incredible year supporting the Colorado Extreme, the NHL outdoor alumni game. Just an absolute blast. Did a couple donor flights and then took off and did the flyby for the anthem of the outdoor rink. Obviously, a lot of these guys played their entire career in the NHL and never experienced the flyby, obviously, unless you're in a winter classic or something like that. So it was very cool. A lot more every year. This event grows with more and more NHL greats. Marc-Andre Fleury was there. Matthew and Jack, my two boys, grew up in Chicago watching Duncan Keith. He was there. Got to hang out with all these guys. Paul Bissonnette, Biz Nasty. Obviously Henrik Lundqvist. If you're a hockey fan, put this on your schedule for next year. The midweek in December. There's the view from the back seat of the coming up to the rink for the flyby, and then you'll see the view from the ground. It was pretty cool. Nailed the timing, of course. You always got to want to nail the timing to Home of the Brave, right? And we nailed it. You obviously can't hear right now, but there it is. Let me give you the link if you want to check it out. So good time up there in Aspen, and love spending time, obviously, with my boys and my bride. Keely couldn't make it. She had, exams and stuff like that this week. That's Jack's girlfriend, Abby, from Colorado. It was a good time. So if you're a hockey fan, there you go. There's Duncan Keith. That's Carcillo. Most of you guys know Carcillo. A lot of you are investors in Experience Onward and he's just doing great. So there's Paul Bissonnette. He was going to jump in the back seat for the flyby, but he had just flown in from Vegas. He's like, Wiz, I got to tell you, man, I don't know. I'm like, well, if you want to relax and stuff like that, go to the game. Don't don't hang out. Or don't jump in the back seat of this jet. If you just got in from Vegas, you're not feeling it. Do I get frequent flyer miles? I wish. Dave, yeah. So what we do is we have we have somebody on the ground with the radio. It was my son Jack, and he gives me a heads up when they're starting the anthem, and then he just holds the VHF handheld radio up to the speaker so I can hear it. And we had, I had to be able to put a bomb through a window plus or minus 1 second, right? So we're pretty good at this stuff, close air support and doing mental math and having to make it happen. We got to the point where we would research who was singing the anthem, how long the average took, and all sorts of stuff like that. So we got pretty anal about this stuff. Okay. All right, that's about it for when you get a chance, go make sure you're following the Sacred Warrior Fellowship Instagram. I just posted over the past couple days 3 testimonials from our last retreat, and this guy's a Marine combat veteran and a cop, former cop. This is a Marine wife. This is a firefighter. You're going to be blown away by the testimonials that these people gave. I'm honored and humbled to be doing this work. Now, if you're sitting here going, okay, what are you talking about, retreats and stuff like that? I know some of our strategic partners emailed and stuff like that. So let me do a quick intro. and then we'll get airborne because we have a lot of stuff to cover. Real quick, the flight schedule today, like I said, I'm going to debrief 2025 and then give a targeting brief for 2026. WIPA. We're all old enough in this room to remember who? Devo. Whip it good, right? So our acronym for 2026 is WIPA, right? I'm going to open, we're done with the days of 25. I'm getting to the point now where I have Top Gun options at the right size, and I want to kind of keep it here. So no more 25 full throttles. We got a little too big. I don't need the money. Got a lot of other stuff going on. I like having a nice tight-knit squadron, and I don't want a zoo. So we've reduced our quarterly quota to 15. And we're getting a lot of new lifetime members, so I want to focus on quality over quantity. Okay, tomorrow we're going to talk about AR, accelerated retirement, the only sector you should be buying with both hands. And it's not AI. You should be selling that sector, and we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. And then solo Amazon. We're going to talk about just trading Amazon on Thursday at 10 a.m. All times are Eastern. This will be the replay page. Let me give this to you now. Hey, Wiz, I can't attend all these briefs. Don't worry about it. Everything goes up on this replay page. Now, this is currently has the 4 replays from the October, the last time we did a full throttle. So don't go watch all of those. Today's replay will be right up here at the top. And then obviously the following day's replays will be underneath that going forward. Yeah, I wish that's what it stood for. I appreciate that, though. I like that. Might have to go with that. All right, so for all the new folks who started following us from social media or our strategic partners emailing, my name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign's Wiz, Navy F-18 guy, Top Gun grad, adversary pilot, Operation Southern Watch, Noble Eagle, Enduring Freedom. What's that have to do with trading? Everything. I didn't join the military to get rich. I joined the Navy to see the world, fly jets off of aircraft carriers, and deliver justice to bad guys. But on active duty, I taught myself how to trade stocks and then options. I popped up on the radar of one of the largest volatility options trading firms in the world, headquartered right there in the CBOT. Everybody, we're actually going to be talking about a trade on the building behind the CBO or the CBOT with the CBO. But went to Chicago. No offense, you can keep it if you live there. If you're in the Midwest, I'm a beach guy. I'm a Navy guy. I live in God's waiting room, Boca Raton. But I was up in Chicago 3-4 years, helped run a multi-billion-dollar vol arb firm. I helped build a hedge fund when I was there. Also helped build the retail brokerage that many of you know as Options House, and it was a blast. I was CEO of a Wall Street under firm at the age of 38. That was pretty damn cool. Founder of the Options News Network, the CNBC for options. We'd shoot on the floor of the CBOT and the CBO, and we'd give a behind-the-scenes look to folks like you about what was going on, unusual activity and stuff like that. I know Rick Santelli well. I know John and Pete Najarian pretty well. But like I said, Chicago, you can keep it, man. Walking from, we used to live in Naperville, Napertucky, taking the train in to Union Station, walking from Union Station to the Board of Trade in February was a survival situation. And I don't like that. I've written a couple books from C-level to C-level, how I went from the front lines to the front office, and then wrote a book called COVID Crash. If you were a Top Gun Options member in December of 2020, you saw $2.5 million, or January of 2020, I'm sorry, 2020, in January, December, $2.5 million. We turned panic into profit. I nailed the COVID crash to the day, called out Donald Trump as a liar on CNBC. When Joe Kiernan asked him, he was in Davos. Do you guys remember this? Joe was interviewing the president, and he said, "Wait, before you go, Mr. President, one last question. What's this China flu? What's this bug or something?" "Dumb question, Joe. You're an idiot. Nobody asks dumber questions than you. Not coming here. I trust Xi Jinping. He's a good dude. Great backswing. Been to Mar-a-Lago. You're an idiot. Dumb question." I looked into this camera and I said, "He's lying. Get out." Buy puts on the S&P 500, get long volatility. We made $2.5 million in about 2.5 weeks. I knew he was lying. I had a buddy in the White House. Remember the senators came out from, their briefing, classified briefing, and looked into the cameras and microphones and said, everything's fine, remain calm. And then they grabbed their cell phones and called their brokers and their best friends and told them to get out. Of course, after a year investigation, it turned out that wasn't insider trading. Okay. I did outsider trading. I told everybody what was going on. And if you listen to me, you got rich. It's all in a book. All the trades are documented. You can read that book. I have a podcast ranked in the top 2.5% of podcasts on this planet. That's not a big deal. There's 3.3 million podcasts in the world. This is one of my two, well, I have a lot of true loves, my wife and my kids, but the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. 22 veterans. That's low. I think it's closer to 44 veterans check out every day by their own hand. They commit suicide. It's an absolute horror. If you've ever seen the movie Lone Survivor, read the book, I went to Mexico 4.5 years ago and did psychedelic assisted therapy, and it saved and changed my life. There's Marcus Luttrell. There's Jared Taylor from Black Rifle Coffee. There's JJ, Navy SEAL, who was teammates with Marcus. He's a TGO member. And that's Robert Gallery. Google his name. He was an All-American at Iowa, played for the Raiders, and he is a completely different human being. He healed with Ibogaine. He healed his CTE and his head trauma, and he has started his own foundation to get these sacred compounds to his fellow NFL players. Not waiting for Uncle Sam, because this was the most spiritual, it was the most religious experience of my life. My beautiful bride and I, about 6 months ago, started Sacred Warrior Fellowship here in Florida. We are an entheogenic church, exercising our First Amendment rights, the free exercise of our religion. We use these compounds in sacred ceremony to heal, to reconnect with the divine within. So you can check out nofallenheroes.com. You can check out sacredwarriorfellowship.com if you're interested in learning more about alternative therapies and healing our heroes at home. All right. So folks, what we're going to cover in the next 3 days, I need you to remember this. 90% of everything we're going to be talking about this week is emotional. This is why pilots or military folks do pretty well trading, because we have a checklist, right? If this, then that. We follow a flow chart. We know that if we break rules, we better have a damn good reason, and it better turn out right. If we violate rules, usually something bad happens, right? We, in the military, and especially in aviation, we say the SOP, the standard operating procedure, is written in blood. Bad to say, but it's the truth, right? When the F-18 came off the flight line, it probably had 2 or 3 pages of emergency procedures. 30 years later, the section's that thick, right? It's written in blood. So how many of you woke up today and said thank you? Whether it was to God, your pet, your loved one, it doesn't matter. You woke up today. You're on the internet right now. You're either on a phone, you're on a laptop. If you woke up with a roof over your head, running water, and you're on a webinar right now listening to me, you're blessed. You're doing better than 95% of the people on this planet, right? So I hope you didn't come to these briefs this week to say, I need to make money. That comes from a place of lack. If you woke up full of gratitude and say, man, I have everything I need right now, that's the mindset we need before we start talking about investing or trading. If you need something, you are coming from lack. Come from a place of gratitude, and you're going to do a lot better. Hopefully you did a little mindfulness meditation this morning. Hopefully you knocked out some yoga. I did after skiing for a couple days, my knees and legs. It was fantastic to go do some yoga. So some yoga, some meditation, or breath work. And man, I am feeling good, and I am ready to kick ass this week. All right. What's my mission objective for this week? I'm going to debrief another record at TGO. We are looking, depends on how the next week and a half goes, over about 101. Let me round up. Over 100% return. Last year, I think it was 151. It took me a little while, not a little while, after the tariff implosion to reorient, and then we crushed it. But we'll debrief all that stuff in a second here. But man, we are absolutely, I think this is out of 15 years, I should probably go really document that. Out of 15 years, I'm going to say 70, 80, 90% of the time, we're over 100% return every year. I think my lowest year, what was that? It was like a 70 something percent return. And that was my worst year. I will formalize that. I have a folder. You know what? I can drop all that shit in AI and spit it out. All right. I'll work on that. Because I'm like, man, I'm so not looking forward to doing any of that. All right. 2026 outlook. WIPA good, right? Well, it's going to be good if you're a member here at Top Gun Options. And we're going to talk this week how you can turn panic into profit. If you just trade stocks, how can you turn panic into profit? Well, I can short a stock, and you'd be a complete idiot. Shorting stocks is for fools. Trade options. Options, we love blood in the streets. We love panic. We love all that type of stuff. We can print money as markets implode, and we're going to have an interesting 2026. William, that's what I'm getting into. That's what this brief is about. 2025 debrief. We started hot. Last November, what did I tell you? 2025, buy it with both hands. It's going to be a rip your face off rally. Did I not? Nailed it. Why? Deregulation. Donald Trump said, hey, man, if any government agency wants to make a new rule, you got to get rid of 10 old ones, right? So the markets love the fact that Trump was elected and he's a businessman. I don't care how you feel about the dude. Love him, hate him, who cares? If you hate anybody, you got problems. Always remember, God, and I use that word, God loves your enemy as much as he loves you. Anyway, so market loved it. Trump elected, businessman, we're going to get a lot of regulation, deregulation, right? He's going to clear a lot of obstacles. He loves M&A, mergers and acquisitions, loves Wall Street, loves big business. So we started hot. And then what happened, man? Liberation Day. You remember in April what happened? I'm going to hit everybody with tariffs. Holy crap, man. Let's just go take a brief look at the market. Let's go a year-to-date view. Let's go a year and a half. So there you go, folks. There's Donald Trump's election, and then holy crap. Liberation Day, and at the end of February, does everybody of course you remember that. So Liberation Day, we imploded. We absolutely imploded and went, straight down. The president, tariffs are great, just wait this thing out. Guess what happened? Trump blinked. And then the Democrats came up with a term, taco. Trump always chickens out. Why? The bond market broke. Don't talk about it. A lot of people don't understand the bond market or whatever, but folks, man, it was going north of 5 or something like that, sustained. Even Treasury Secretary Bessent was like, he could only do so much on TV before he went, to Trump behind closed doors. And the president blinked. And I got to be honest with you, folks. I do this for a living. I watch all this stuff. I don't think there's been a single trade deal. I'm not, no, don't start typing like, well, I don't care what he announced. Has anybody seen a signing ceremony? I remember Trump the first with the trade war or the tariff or whatever war with China. He had the vice premier and 2 other Chinese dudes come to the White House for a signing ceremony. They stood on stage like idiots thinking they were just going to sign something when the president was at the podium for over an hour, like, beautiful victory, pointed to, oh, there's Ken Griffin from Citadel. What's up, Ken? I'm like, oh my, I don't think there's been any deal. And if you kind of check in with world leaders, they're all kind of whispering to each other like who was it recently? Like, oh, like MBS and all these world leaders are promising They're going to spend $500 billion and invest in America. How? When? Where's the check? Maybe Vietnam. I think Vietnam was also announced. Did I miss the ceremony? Trump's a ceremony guy, folks. But here's what I'm getting at: is he blinked and there was no deal signed. Remember, he did when we imploded. What did he say at the bottom? I'm going to do a 90-day pause. 90-day pause for everybody to get everything in line. What happened? So I'm debriefing 2025, folks. I think I'm the idiot because apparently there's been a shitload of trade deals and I missed every one of them. There hasn't been. How about, Wiz, whatever that acronym, WIP, as somebody said, I'm awesome. Well, guess what? I got this wrong. And I love getting things wrong that would have sucked if I was right. So you guys, many of you know, I'm very good friends with Dan Kane, Raising Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. We flew bombers from Missouri and took out nuke sites. We, just absolutely insane demonstration of U.S. military might. If you're a Democrat, you didn't take any nuke sites out. If you're Trump, they're obliterated, destroyed. But what was I wrong about? I was right about this. I was in game 4? I had to leave. I had a Fox hit because I predicted, what did I say in that brief that morning? I'm like, we're going to hit Iran in the next 24 to 48 hours. Nailed it. I had to leave. It was a game that went in overtime because I had a Fox hit. They called me and said, hey, you nailed it. What was I wrong about? The market reaction. Folks, I've been saying for a decade, Israel and Iran will go to war. And Iran will close the Strait of Hormuz. They will drop a bunch of mines in there. Oil will go to $200. What did the market do when Israel and Iran went into war? And technically, the U.S. went to war too. Nothing. I mean, they threatened. Did you see it? Oh, Allah Akbar, we're going to close the Strait of Hormuz. Nothing. So I got it wrong. And I'm happy. That's one of the things I got wrong this year because I'm like, holy shit. If it gets uglier and they do close the Strait of Hormuz, oil will be impacted. The market will pull back. Wrong. Got it wrong. Inflation, folks. We're going to hit this in the 2026 targeting outlook. He's failing. The president is failing miserably. It's a hoax. That's the wrong thing to say, Mr. President. But inflation, the Fed sucks. Jerome Powell sucks. He's gone in 5 months, but he sucks. They started cutting rates as jobs imploded and inflation is stuck above 3%. Does anybody know what that's called? Shitty jobs and stuck inflation. It's called stagflation. So looking behind in the rearview mirror, folks, bad inflation. Okay. Already talked about the Fed. Jerome Powell sucks. Folks, this time last year, September. This time last fall, what happened? Well, Mumbles McShitty Pants was, still president and Kamala was running for office. What did Jerome Powell do last September? In front of an election, he cut 50 basis points. What did I tell you? I said he needs to raise rates 50 basis points. He cut 50 in front of the election. One of the most partisan rate cuts I've ever seen. And he caused even more inflation. The guy is awful. For 2 years under Biden, he used the term what? Transitory. 40-year high inflation. The last time inflation was that high, my sister was still, Monica was alive. 40-year high inflation, he kept calling it transitory, along with Janet Yellen, the grandma Treasury Secretary. The Fed sucked this past year. Inflation is stuck above their target rate, and they're still cutting. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. AI. 2022, ChatGPT came out. and now we're starting to rip. It is without a doubt one of the largest bubbles I've ever seen. Most of you in this room lived through the dot-com bubble. I'm going to show you how many bubbles I've lived through. AI is way overhyped. It's way overinvested, and it will come back to earth. But it was the story this year, from the circular financing and vaporware, and well, we'll pay you for this, and you buy this from them, and they'll buy this from us. It's a snake eating its own tail, folks, and it's going to suck. Martin, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. The president might reschedule marijuana. We'll see. All right, here we go. 2026 brief. WIPA. W-I-P-A. Here we go. War. 5 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, Xi Jinping wore his Mao outfit, like the green thing. He stood in front of the PLA, the People's Liberation Army, and what did he say? You will be ready to invade Taiwan when? By 2027. I just heard from a dude, only one of two things is going to happen this year. Either Trump tacos. He already started tacoing on China and Taiwan. Did you see the new Japanese prime minister, the lady? She's like the Japanese Margaret Thatcher. She's, doing this to China. Trump apparently on the back radio said, hey, throttle back on the anti-China talk. And she's like, you can kiss my ass. We live here. So Trump, of course, wants a deal. He's going to go to China. Xi's going to come here right up the street from me at Mar-a-Lago. He either gets a deal to whatever, have some nice trade, but part of it is going to be you don't do anything about Taiwan. This will happen this year, ladies and gentlemen. The last time, the Chinese, the dude that runs China, doesn't give dates and times and be full of shit. So why does this have to do with the market, Wiz? What are you, insane? I got Israel-Iran war wrong. It wasn't technically a war. It was lobbing missiles back and forth, and we kind of stopped, and now I'm sure they're rebuilding their nuke program and stuff like that. This is different. Taiwan Semiconductor. It's a massive, it's its own country. What's our policy? One China. What's that mean? Well, Taiwan's part of China. Okay, why are we selling it M1 tanks and fighter jets and, Patriots? Well, we like war. Our defense contractors like war. Oh, okay. So we got war coming, I guarantee you. Now, folks, this might not be Saving Private Ryan storming the beaches of Taiwan. They might just go, cowboys and Indians, they might just circle that island with a blockade in the air and on the sea and say anything that tries to get in or out, we're going to kill and shoot down. What are we going to do about it? Let me share with you real quick as I go through this stuff, some intel. Here's the first intel. China would destroy U.S. military and fight over Taiwan. Top secret document warns. I told you this years ago. This is an updated war game. I told you based on old war games, we're done. Beijing's hypersonic missiles could sink U.S. aircraft carriers within minutes. Unbelieve. It was called Overmatch. The New York Times reported this, ladies and gentlemen. The Gerald Ford, gone. Folks, by the way, we don't have a single hypersonic missile. How many does China have? Over 600. They travel at 5 times the speed of sound. Unbelievable. What are we doing? We're going to build 9 additional Ford-class carriers. How many hypersonic? None. Why? War is a racket. Lieutenant General Smedley Butler, Marine. That's his quote. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a naval aviator. I got my Top Gun shirt on. I got hundreds of carrier landings. It is over for carriers. Did you see Ukraine over the weekend? One of their they had a drone submarine hit Kiev class or whatever it was called, Russian submarine, multi-billion-dollar submarine taken out of service by a couple $10,000 drone. We lose a lot of ships, F-35s, Guam. Wow. The high cost of it was really sobering when we did the after action summaries. Okay, you guys lost like 100 plus fifth generation aircraft pilots, multiple destroyers, a couple of subs, and a couple of carriers. Whoa, that was a heavy toll. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is bad. One more time. I know I'm dropping anchor on this a lot of it, but I'm going to break your habit at Top Gun Options of being a tactical trader. If you came to this brief, you don't know who I am, like, where's the trades for today? You should just leave now because you're going to be miserable here. You're a tactical trader. SOT, strategic, operational, and then we trade and get tactical towards the end of our briefs. But later, yeah, I'll give you this. Read this. Folks, the badass American military and Hegseth and nobody can kick our ass. Want to bet? We might win in the end ultimately, but define win. Ladies and gentlemen, just like Billy Mitchell dropped some bombs on a battleship, they court-martialed them. Battleships will never be obsolete. Gone. Aircraft carriers will never be obsolete. Gone. So, war in China or Ukraine, China, Taiwan. And then obviously, I'm just over this. I'm over the Ukraine bullshit, the graft, the corruption. Stop killing each other. Stop. Shut up, stop killing each other. But we have to shut up and stop killing each other. War is fought by young men who probably without the war would be best friends and go fishing together on behalf of men that know each other. U.S. Venezuela. I don't know what no more wars meant when the president ran, but here we are. And then Israel versus everyone. Graham, I saw your comment at the beginning of the brief, just an absolute horror in Australia. And then the cuck of Australia, I can't stand these people. Aussie Prime Minister invokes right-wing extremism. What? 2 radical Islamic terrorists killed a bunch of Jews, and the first thing the Aussie Prime Minister says, talks about is right-wing extremism, and we need to crack down on. Australia's got the toughest gun laws on the planet, but we need to crack down on that even more. Not a word about radical Islam and these immigrants. Did you see the press conference last night with the Rhode Island police chief? The mayor had to pull him off the stage. The guy for 20 minutes was avoiding every question. What did the gunman yell before the shooting? Well, we're still in. What did he, folks, the gunman at Brown clearly didn't yell, "Make America great again," did he? Because we would have known that within 0.3 seconds. Clearly, the Brown gunman yelled something like Allah Akbar, and the mayor and the police chief won't say it. The liberals and the Democrats' suicidal empathy is going to get a lot more Americans killed. So, Graham, my heart goes out to the Aussies, but the response is, let's take the weapons away from law-abiding citizens so we ensure that only the terrorists have them, is not the way to go. Thank God. I could care less what royal subjects in Canada, Australia, and the UK think about our gun laws. The last time I cared was in 1776. WIPA, inflation. Trump is failing. The Fed is failing. Stagflation. But guess what? What is it? Warren or Hassett, the 2 dudes tied for first to be the new Fed chief? Doves? Let me step through this, folks. The rate cut last week when I was out in Colorado was not needed. I don't care. And look, the market kind of really hasn't even cared, right? Rate cuts are usually bullish. I thought it was a little hawkish cut, but apparently the market liked it. Well, let's go take a look. Let's look at the S&P 500. Yes and no. 6 months. Well, what did I tell you last week, folks? In Aspen, I told you we're going back down to the 20 and 50-day moving averages. We're right in between both of them. I nailed this. Okay. We also have our January trudge on, don't we, folks? I told you I don't close those things. If you don't know what a trudge is, we'll talk about it in a second. But anyway, folks, Fred's fractured vote signals trouble ahead for future rate cuts. Well, guess what? This guy's gone. His term is up in May. Trump's going to name his replacement soon, next month. So he's going to have a Fed chief in waiting who's going to be a dove. We do not need more rate cuts, period. Why? Inflation, ladies. Look at the Wall Street Journal, which it's not the New York Times. A divided Fed cuts rates again. Why? It's not needed. But let's stick with inflation, right? Trump calls affordability a con job as his edge on the economy slips. He's growing frustrated at who? You. This reminds me of Mumbles McShitty Pants and Kamala. Everything's great. The economy's great. And if it isn't, it's just for you. You're the exception. What? Things suck. No, it doesn't. Everything's great. Now the president's frustrated because you're an idiot. You don't see how everything's good. That's a losing strategy. His top advisors have been begging him to shift his focus to higher prices. Hey, dude, all the quote wars you ended, you didn't. Malaysia and the other, Thailand or whatever, or Cambodia are fighting again. Israel. I don't give a shit about Venezuela. I don't give a shit about the Middle East or civil war in Eastern Europe right now. First of all, you ran on ending the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. And here we are a year later. Second of all, you ran on what? Sleepy Joe, inflation, I'll bring it down day one. He focused on everything but that. Trump isn't beating the high cost of living. Voters elected him to bring down inflation, but prices are still elevated and rising. This holiday season isn't very merry for consumers. That's not good. And, well, let me get to my acronym in a second here, folks. He had to do a brief up in Pennsylvania, didn't he? He had to jump on an airplane and do like an emergency rally, like affordability, it's a con job. They keep using the word affordability. Mr. President, these were my predictions 6 months ago, folks, and they're getting set in stone right now. So let's go to the P in WIPA. Politics. The Republicans will be absolutely destroyed in the midterms. Not slaughtered, destroyed. Trump's hand-picked RNC chair predicts doom. And guess what? We're also starting to hear your typical bullshit from the president of what? Well, guess what? It's always like this. The party in power always wrong. I mean, you're right, but you're going to get destroyed. And John Thune sucks. Speaker of the what's his name sucks. They both suck. Republicans play flag football, hoping the crowd will like them. Democrats play tackle. They play dirty, and they don't give a shit what the crowd thinks. So the Republicans have already squandered everything. It's over with. Why do you care? Because Speaker of the House Hakeem Jeffries, you will see the president impeached. You will see Pete Hegseth impeached. You will see HHS Secretary Kennedy impeached. Who am I missing? There will be investigations into Doge. Elon Musk will be subpoenaed. This will be chaos. Anybody don't believe me? Chuck Schumer is going to lose to AOC. The radical left, or John Fetterman, ain't going to be able to stop any of this, ladies and gentlemen. Do you understand what that means? No, good one. That's exactly right. I hear she's on her way out. But folks, even when people kind of retire or leave, if Hegseth or Noam leave, they're still going to call them up for impeachment. So, ladies and gentlemen, this will be a horror for the market. I think we're already in a recession. Personally, what's the definition of a recession? Well, Joe Biden changed it, Wiz. It used to be 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. I shared with you a couple of weeks ago that Goldman Sachs said what? Take out AI and GDP is flat to negative. Whoa. AI spending is powering this economy right now. And that's not going to last. So, folks, war, inflation, politics, and let's get to it right now. AI. Tens of millions of jobs will be wiped out. It's going to kill all of us. I mean, that's a separate conversation, obviously. So, how am I going to target? Obviously, let me go back real quick and just focus a little on AI. It's awful. It's an absolute horror for humanity, period. Unless you're one of the handful of white men who are going to be quintillionaires because of it. A year to 2 years ago, these CEOs were saying what? And those men were saying what? It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Everything's going to be fantastic. Now those same CEOs from Amazon, white collar jobs to Accenture, hundreds of thousands of white collar jobs are going away. Folks, if you're a systems analyst, Tom Hanks in the movie Castaway at FedEx, I guarantee you his job is an AI job right now. If you get laid off from FedEx, they also, and UPS, got rid of 15, 20,000 white collar people because of AI. What do they do? Well, if I got laid off at FedEx as a systems analyst because of AI, I'll go work at, UPS just laid all those people off too. This is an absolute horror. That's it. And don't give me this like, we'll learn to code. The people who I shared with you 4 months ago, I think it was, the Wall Street Journal article on coders, $165,000 a year starting job for a college graduate booger eater. Gone. Why? AI is coding itself. It's over with. The AI bubble is going to deflate and do all. It might not pop and everything kind of like .com boom, but chips, I already told you, Amazon, if you want to be an AI, you're an Amazon. Why? They announced 2 weeks ago, 30 to 40% cheaper chips that are faster than NVIDIA, blah, 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 blah. Woo. This is the airlines. It's going to be a race to the bottom. Ours are cheaper and faster. Ours are cheaper and faster. This is bad and will get worse. 2026 will be the year that AI really, really starts sucking. How are we going to target? Folks, I think we're in it. I think we are in a recession. The jobs report today, the jobs numbers, equal to the amphibious readiness group and the battle group off Venezuela. I really don't. The unemployment rate went up. Did it? Did you watch it this morning? I did. Q1 earnings, right? On my birthday, thank you for the early birthday wishes. New Year's Eve. When's my birthday? It's always this year. Think about that. I can never say my birthday is next year. I'll let you sit with that for a second. But Q4 ends How are the earnings? Oh, I should put, yeah, that's Q4 earnings, technically, not Q1. I'm saying in Q1, we're going to get Q4 earnings. Did this on the plane last night. Q4. I like accuracy. So I think we're going to hear about a shitload of AI overspend. We're going to talk about Amazon on Thursday. Did you see how their last earnings were? It was absolutely disgusting. Huge gap up. We're right back down to where it was. There is way too much money being spent on AI, and they are not bringing it in. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's vaporware, and the valuations will come down to earth. It will happen this year, I think in the first or second quarter, period. You can count on it. I'm going to print money. Early Fed announcement, right? I already talked about this. The president's going to pick somebody. It's going to be a dove, and the market might like that. Is that going to be enough to keep us hanging up here? We shall see. The Fed is in a fight. You heard them last week. You saw some of the Fed lieutenants. What do we care about more right now? Crappy jobs or stuck inflation? Well, to hear the Fed talk, we care more about the jobs. I got to be honest with you. I don't. I got about 9 jobs, but I care about inflation, Chairman Powell, Mr. President. Right? What's the definition of a recession? When your neighbor loses their job. What's a depression? When you lose yours. So right now, the Fed is saying we're cutting because, folks, cutting interest rates right now. Does anybody know a business who watched Jerome Powell last week and said, wow, I'm glad he cut rates. I'm going to hire more people. Are you insane? Actually, Wiz, I just bought this new AI thing. I just got rid of all my customer support staff. That's what I'm hearing about jobs. The jobs the Fed's worried about ain't coming back. They should be caring about inflation. If they cared about inflation, getting back down to their 2% target rate, they'd be raising rates. The big story that only smart people like me got last week from the Fed was what? QE infinity. Jerome Powell admitted last week we're done. Because remember that you can go to the Fed's website and look at their balance sheet. It's disgusting. The Federal Reserve prints money out of thin air. Do you remember 2, 3 years, whenever it was, 5 years ago when Jerome Powell sat on 60 Minutes, a Fed chief on 60 Minutes? He's like, well, we make money out of thin air. We print physical dollars and ship them to Federal Reserve banks, but also electronically. I just hit enter on my laptop and money appears. What do you think is causing inflation, Chairman Powell? You are creating money out of thin air. So the bigger announcement to me, other than the dogfight that they're in, jobs versus inflation, is we're back to just printing money out of thin air. 30, well, I lost count. What are we, 37, $38 trillion in debt and getting deeper faster? With all of that, right, Mitch just said that, like, let's talk, other than that, Mrs. Kennedy, how was the parade? The market, the people with homes in the Hamptons, Jamie Dimon, Donald Trump and his children selling Trump vodka, Trump watches, and Trump weed need the market to go up and to the right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we could see in 2026, bad news is good news. Why? The Fed's just going to cut. We're going to print money. We're going to do QE. We're not even going to call it QE 1, 2, and 3. Remember, they stopped calling it that? QE 1, 2, 3. Now it's, and TARP, Troubled Asset Relief. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was in the Board of Trade. I was at ground zero during the financial crisis in 2008. I ran over to the VIX pits to watch it hit 90, north of 90. I'm like, oh my God. What happened? George Bush, the Coke one, not the naval aviator, listened to Paulson, run into his office. He ran Goldman Sachs. He must know what he's talking about. You got to jump in to save capitalism. And then Obama and Bernanke took over after that, and they bailed out capitalism. Capitalism is not capitalism if it needs to be bailed out. If you go back and watch some of my Options News Network videos, I said, let it burn. Things have to fail. Nope. 2008, Barack Obama, we had 8 years of everybody gets a trophy. And we did it in the markets too. What am I rambling about? So the worse things get next year, the market can still go up. For all of you that are new to Top Gun Options, remember this. The market is not the economy. Matter of fact, the worse the economy gets, the better the stock market could do. That's confusing to you. You found a home here at Top Gun Options. Already talked about this because we got to get to trading. I want to stay on time. Republicans are going to get destroyed, period. It's going to be in impeachments, investigations. They're not going to get anything done, and it's going to suck. And obviously, 2027, Xi Jinping gave a date that says you will be ready to invade. Our military will be able to take back Taiwan on this date. No questions asked. We're gonna come to a head. It's gonna come to a head, folks, especially because Donald Trump is what? Trying to get a trade deal with China. I thought we had one. Yeah, no, not even close. So, folks, at Top Gun Options, I can teach you how to turn panic into profit. I mean, Warren Buffett, only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked, right? So, and that's I don't want to visualize that happening to that guy. I always talk about this, folks. Will our economy one day have a Fred Sanford, right? The big one. I'm coming, Elizabeth. Lamont, you big dummy. I don't think it's in 2026. The big one will happen when the U.S. government jumps in to try and really save it, and everybody just goes, well, we can't. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm always I got whiteboards in here, and I do a lot of stuff. What's the bottom right of the whiteboard for the U.S. economy? $38 trillion in debt. Do we wake up one day and on somebody's watch, folks, we're going to have to just open the master Excel sheet and hit a zero? Or do we just deficits don't matter? Nobody cares, Wiz. Okay. Well, the U.S. dollar won't be worth it isn't worth the paper it's printed on. And then Saudi Arabia, Brazil, China, they ditched the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. Does that happen in 2026? No. But folks, we are going downhill. The Fred Sanford, he was right. One day he did have the big one. But folks, quick review, and then we're going to place a couple trades. Since the dawn of the century, look at the S&P 500. Has anybody noticed anything? Well, there's the dot-com bubble. We recovered. There's the global financial crisis in Chicago. We recovered. And then so folks, this was it. I was in the board of trade at the options news desk, said, let it burn. A phoenix will rise from the ashes. Hell, in hindsight, when I had to hide my badge to go into the board of trade because there was Occupy Wall Street protesters, guess what? In hindsight, they were right. How dare you bail out Wall Street? Oh no, I might have to sell my house in the Hamptons. So, ladies and gentlemen, there was the end of capitalism in the United States and government intervention. Look at what happened. Oh my God, the COVID crash. Then the Joe Biden bear market. And then the tariff stuff. Does anybody see it? I'm a political science major from South Jersey. Does anybody see a trend? Until further notice, all dips will be bought. There's Joe Biden's bear market. The market was down 25%, S&P 500, under Joe Biden. I don't remember the media or Democrats, when we had our tariff implosion this year, mention anything about this. It was just Trump's destroying the market and the economy. But under Joe Biden, it was everything's great. Do you remember that? Now, let me give you a big one. This is what everybody was, you see all the way up here in the top right? That's the meltdown. That was the tariff meltdown that liberals and Democrats and the media were destroying the president about. Why did I pick this chart? Well, that's me at Naval Air Station Key West in 1991 when I started investing. Does anybody see a trend? What am I getting at? even if you're scared shitless about some of the stuff I said for next year, guess what? Until further notice, excuse me, until we get the, you know, until we get the, I'm coming, Elizabeth, it's the big one. All dips are to be bought. Period. Jerome Powell, if Jerome Powell is jumping in to save capitalism with QE infinity again and cutting interest rates, what do you think his successor is going to do? He's going to be a mini Trump. Interest rates are at zero. Interest rates are negative. So put everything into perspective. Even though I got, some an interesting outlook for next year, we're going up. Okay, so strategic, operational. Let's get tactical and let's start doing a little trading here. If you didn't get out of that, well, I'm still. I didn't close it. You could have closed it, I think, for $1,000 profit, 45%. I'm still in it. S&P's recovering. Let me talk about a trade right now. Based on everything that I just told you, you might be like, holy crap, next week's going to be next week. Next year is going to be extremely interesting. What does that mean? Volatility, up, down, AI inflating, deflating, holy crap, oil, interest rates. Means what? Activity. It means trading. It means battle. What is good about that? Trading has to occur somewhere, doesn't it? Did you see what the NASDAQ announced? I hate this. Let me lead with, before I show you this trade, I hate this. Wait a minute, you're doing a trade that you hate? Yeah, because it's going to print money. Did you see what the NASDAQ announced? NASDAQ plans to launch 24/7 stock trading. Gone are the days of like having a good night's sleep and not worrying about your positions. First of all, if you're worried about any position, you suck. You're either trading too large or you don't know what you're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is horrific. Also, again, political science major, South Jersey. Look at this chart. There's me in the board of trade. Options trading has gone straight up. Hell, man, I was out in Aspen talking to people at the parties. Oh, yeah, man, I trade 0 days to expiration options. I'm like, oh, so you're the gambler. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the headline. What's the date on this article? Look at this, December 28th, 2024. Look at the headline. A thrill-seeking trade amps up heading into 2025. Stock options are soaring with everyday investors wagering on market whipsaws. Wow. This article, this time last year, look at this. The share of 0 days to options expiration. The CBOE, Chicago Board Options Exchange, ladies and gentlemen, is launching as well 24/7 options trading. I hate this. However, if you bought CBOE when I told you to last year, let's go look at the chart. CBOE, it's right at the top. Ladies and gentlemen, year to date, let's just go, where's December? I'll try and get it as accurate as I can. Right about there. 34, the stock has gone up 34% in a year. Look at a 5-year chart of the CBOE. Look at a 10-year chart of this. Holy crap, man. So the Chicago Board Options Exchange, folks, the bank robber who got arrested in the 20s, the FBI agent asked, why'd you rob banks? He looked at him like the guy was an idiot. He goes, it's where the money is. You have got to be long-term bullish on this. If you think I'm wrong about 2026, it's not going to be a shit show whiz. It's going to be a rip your face off rally. Good. If you agree with me, it's going to be a shit show whiz, or you agree with me, but to the downside, it is going to be a shit show and we're going to implode. There will be a bear market. We're in a recession. all three of you who agree with one of those needs to be long-term bullish on this. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hop right now, watch me, into a time machine, and we're going to fly all the way out to January of 2028. Why? Because I want as much time as humanly possible into the future to be bullish on the CBOE. Did you not see the chart I just showed you? If you're just a stock trader, Wiz, I love everything you just said about CBOE. 24/7 options, Asian options. The CBOE is the bank. It prints money. If you wanted to buy 100 shares of CBOE right now, do you allow me to round up? Do you have 20? Who doesn't have 25 grand right now to buy CBOE? If you bought 100 shares of CBOE right now, I don't want to be too crude. You're an idiot. I want that to sink in. Watch me cook. Would you rather spend 25 grand to buy 100 shares of CBOE, or let's go out to Jan of 2028? We are close to 250 right now, aren't we? If you know nothing about options, welcome to Top Gun Options. I'm going to teach you a little bit right now. Most of you have heard buying a call option is bullish. I'm going to buy some calls on this name. I think it's going to go up. You'd be right. Buying a call option is bullish. Selling a call option, somebody selling this to me, is bearish, right? But I could buy one options contract. More basic training for all you that are new. Buying one options contract allows me to control 100 shares of stock until January of 2028, years into the future. How much would that cost me? $3,800. I just saved you $21,000, ladies and gentlemen. The average holding time, this isn't your father and mother stock market. Your dad didn't buy shares of GM and put it in a shoebox. You're not doing that anymore. The average holding time of a stock investor is 8 months to a year and a half. But you could buy one call option for $3,800. I am not done. That's awesome, Jeff. Since Jeff did the synthetic stock trade last year in December, he's up 125%. The stock is up 34. The options position is up 125. I'm not done. If buying a call option is bullish and selling it's bearish, what about a put option? Now, if you're new to options, you might have heard, I think something's going to go down. I need to buy some puts. Oh, okay. So buying a put is bearish. It's protected. I better buy some puts. Something's going to go down. Okay. Buying a put bearish. Somebody has to sell you that put. The put seller is bullish. They don't think something's going to go down or implode. They'll sell you that put. Selling a put is bullish. So why don't we sell a put with the same expiration, Jan 28, and same strike? Ladies and gentlemen, I saved you $24,000. You could do this trade, which I'm going to tell you what it is in a second, for $1,100. There is not one person in this room that can tell me why they would rather spend 25 over 1. Look right here. That is if you bought the stock, this is the options position. Now, the smart person immediately looked over here and said, holy crap, what is the max potential loss in this trade is 26 grand. Hey, Einstein, if you buy 100 shares of CBOE right now, what is your max potential loss? Oh, 25 grand. Duh. How do you lose 25 grand? CBOE goes to 0. What are the odds of the Chicago Board Options Exchange going to 0 in the next couple years? Probably, you see this? It says it. Probability for maximum loss, 0.00. There's probably 10 decimal points and a 1. The odds of getting eaten by a golden retriever are never 0, right? That is the max potential loss of if you bought the stock or you did this trade, which is called what? Synthetic stock. What's that mean? I don't own the shares. I'm using options. When you do a synthetic stock trade, folks, you don't get two things, and I care about neither of those. The first thing you don't get is a vote. You don't own the shares. You don't own 100 shares, so you don't get the vote. Folks, I had the CEO of the CBOE on the Options News Network, interviewed him a bunch of times. I'm fairly certain he owns about a couple hundred shares more than you ever would. So you don't get the vote. Nobody cares about your vote. The other thing you don't get, since you don't own the shares, is a dividend. I don't even think CBOE has a dividend. It doesn't. So the dividend yield, I can find more in my couch than the CBOE dividend. So ladies and gentlemen, on your screen right now is something called synthetic stock. Okay. So I don't want to risk 26 grand. So I'm going to do something right now. If the market pulls back 20%, what do the talking heads say? The S&P is in a bear market right now. If CBOE, if the stock went down 20%, what would they say? CBOE's down 20% as of today. It's in a bear market. So why don't we? I call that a disaster. If something goes down 20%, that's kind of a disaster. It's in a bear market. Why don't we buy what I call a protective put 20% under the stock price? What is that? 19. Somebody do the math real quick. Allow me to just round up. We're at 25 and 25, 200. That's not hard. So ladies and gentlemen, why don't we buy a protective put or disaster put underneath this? Look at that. They're all at 250. That's interesting. Watch what I did. So the cost of the trade went up to 2,200 bucks. That's still a little less than 25 grand, isn't it? How about the risk? We were risking 26 grand. You ready? 3, 2, 1. 7,200 bucks. I want to hear all the golf claps. If between now and January of 2028, CBOE goes to 0, what's the most you'd ever lose? 7 grand. If by January 2028, you bought like a chump, the 100 shares of CBOE, how much do you lose? 25 grand. That's stupid unless you bought some puts. I just showed you the stock is up 34% in a year, and one of your fellow TGO members said, dude, I'm up 124% in my synthetic stock. I am not done yet. 2,200 bucks. I'm cheap. I want somebody to help pay for this. So watch what I can do. I'm going to trade what is called the front month. What's the front month? You're sitting in it. December, January, February are front months. So I'm going to go out to Friday, 3 days from now, and sell a call against this position. We put the options chain up in the background. Bring up December 25. So out to Friday, folks. We're at 250 right now. Nice little pop today, $3. I would sell the 252.5 call against this position. What did I just do? I just brought in 120 bucks. Exactly. You could sell calls every week against this position and eventually pay off the 2,100 bucks. That's not including CBOE, the underlying position going up. If CBOE just stayed flat for the next 6 months, you could lower your cost basis by selling these calls. Isn't this incredible? Give me a hell yeah. Now, I'm gonna add this one to this portfolio. I have like 4 different portfolio. I don't have CBOE in this account. So watch. Well, first thing I'm gonna do. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is called synthetic stock with a protective put. Now, quick reminder, those 252.5 calls are not covered. By Friday, if CBOE is trading above 252.5, I need to close those. We'll talk about that in a second. But let me grab screenshots of this. Why? Because I'm going to demonstrate for all the potential new members our alert system and what our membership area looks like. My apologies for going long today. The next 2 days will be a hell of a lot. There won't be that big intro that I was just doing, and we're gonna rip. All right, so here's the member area. This is called the Hunters. You can join the Hunters today. I'll show you how to join towards the end of the brief, which we're getting close to. 11/11, we are on the right path. We can make a wish. So, new CBOE Jan28 bullish synthetic stock. Now I'm going to @ everyone. So all 296 members are going to get this trade alert. We have an app that's going to blast an alert directly to the app. No text alerts. Text alerts are so 2015, folks. This is an instant pop-up on the app on your phone. All right, so here's what I do is I insert a screenshot of the trade right there, and then also the metrics of the trade. Add image. Right there. There you go. So I got the trade. I got the metrics. I @ everyone. I'm going to make sure it's in the trade alert thread, not the intel and commentary. And I just fired it. Boom. And it's just posted. Now, this is our lifetime group, right? We have 219 lifetime members. New CBOE Jan28 bullish synthetic stock. Now, I got to put some text in here. I don't @ everyone in the lifetime group because they get access to everything. They're also in the Hunters. I don't want to double alert them. So this is for potential new members in the free briefs. Because a lot of my lifetime people already have this position on and they're printing money, which makes me happy. CBOE. And then, because I'm an awesome guy, I also will send out a replay email after this brief to show the recording as well. Okay. So that's how our alerting system works. The replay, let's go under learning today, technically is what we call the primary trade brief. Is the replay will be posted in this member area. And this is what the member area looks. This is how you join the briefs each time. Click here to join. But you click view the replays. And there's last week's replay right there. There's a snapshot of the trade of a bear call spread on Amazon that expired for max profit. Excuse me. This is what the member area looks like. Replays right at the top. You can scroll down to previous weeks and see everything we did. This is a great, such a cool member area. We launched all this stuff about a year ago. I'm so excited. We had a great year in 2025 with all this stuff. It's so cool. The alerting systems and everything like that. Okay. Now let me go. I want to go get filled on this trade. And I want to go show you something. You're never going to get filled at the bid, right? So the ask is, I'm listing my house for $25.50. That's what I want for it. And somebody offers you $16.60. You're not even going to look at them. You're going to laugh and say, you're not even going to laugh. Mid. You're most likely not going to get filled at the mid in this trade either. So I have a technique called walk it on up. If you want to get filled, I don't care. I want to get filled in this trade right now. Click the ask and hit fire. And there will be an idiot light that flashes on every brokerage desk on the world. In the speed of light, you're going to get filled. And it's going to be for a loss, right? Nobody is going to fill you on this trade and say, you know what? I'm going to take a little bit of a loss. So that's why I'm super cheap. I walk it on up. meaning I'm going to fire this trade as it is right now. Oh, well, there you go. I immediately got filled. So folks, go down a little bit. I got filled immediately at that strike price. So you might choose to go down a little bit. Okay, let me go group the trade together. Make sure it groups all together. CBOE, there we go. Grouping. For whatever reason, E-Trade doesn't group the trade perfectly together. I will. There we go. Okay. So there you go, folks. CBOE filled. Jim, what would be the disadvantage of going to a higher strike price because you get to the point where you're receiving funds as opposed to paying? Would there be a concern with being assigned? Well, Jim, if you are working a trade that's in the money, either short puts, the short puts, yeah, you run the risk of assignment. Absolutely. So there we go. I'm filled. There's my disaster put. There's my synthetic stock. And then obviously trading the 252.5 calls out the Friday. Any questions on synthetic stock? Now, I'm going to show you right now how you can start getting access. But as soon as you join, underneath learning, go down here to Options Weapons School, right? Start watching. And down here, ladies and gentlemen, Session 6 is synthetic stock. I did that in what, about 20 minutes? This is an hour to an hour and a half training on synthetic stock. So if you kind of followed me a little bit, or if you had no clue what I was talking about, this is for you. Options Weapons School, Session 6, synthetic stock. Okay? Now, Options Weapons School, folks. If you have no idea what an option is, welcome to Top Gun Options. I'm going to teach you. Session 1, I don't even talk about options. I talk about our trade plan. You're going to get a 7-step trade plan, how we trade. I'm going to talk about where I gather my intelligence and all sorts of stuff like that. Not until Session 2 do we start talking about this is a call, this is a put. So we take a building block approach in our Options Weapons School training. Okay? So let me do that right now. Let me just show you how you can join today. And we got 2 more days of this stuff. Tomorrow's going to be a banger, folks, because it's going to be cool what we talk about tomorrow. But what do you need to trade successfully, folks? I've been doing this since, what's that, 34 years? I know what you need. You need training. I didn't say education, did I? The world is full of educated derelicts. Look at the Ivy League schools. Training gives you a skill. Fighter pilots are trained. Doctors are trained. Plumbers are trained. Right? We take a building block approach in Options Weapons School training. Training gives you a skill. Hell, we got folks that have quit their jobs that are full-time traders here at Top Gun Options. They don't need to work because they are making their money here. There you go, Kathy. This is perfect for you. Options Weapons School, right? Kathy, you should feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. When I showed up day 1 at Pensacola Naval Air Station, man, I was like, there is no way I'm going to figure this out. There is. Building block approach, Options Weapons School. In addition to the training, though, Kathy, you need a plan. You will get a 7-step trade plan that has strategy, tactics, managing risk. Folks, you can't make money if you're losing money. Does that make sense? What did I just show you? I was also almost all the time, I never talked about profit in that trade, did I? I talked about loss. You can't make money if you're losing money. Okay? We got training here at Top Gun Options. We got trade planning. What else do you need? You need a practical application. That's what these live trade briefs do. I expect you to go watch the hour and 15 synthetic stock training. So the next time I do one of those tactics in a brief, it's about 3 minutes. And you're like, okay, I know how to do this. Right? I took a little bit more time today because this is free. It's open to the public, but I need you to go do the training. Oh, that's awesome. He's a great American. How do you know what I need to trade successfully? I've been you. I read a book. That's how old I am. Before Al Gore invented the internet, I went to the base library to get a book on options. I had these now what moments. Okay, now that I know what a call option is, now what do I do? Well, I went from a self-taught retail trader as a young lieutenant in the Navy to the managing director of a multi-billion-dollar firm. So I built this for a young me. This is what I would have needed, right? So here's what Top Gun Options looks like. On the left side of this Chinese wall, our training environment. You should have a broker, E-Trade, Thinkorswim, TradeStation, Fidel, whatever, that has a virtual simulated or paper trading account. Why? You should never put any real capital at risk if you don't know what you're doing. I can't believe I have to say that, but just like the disclaimers at the beginning of the brief, life's tough. It's even tougher if you're stupid. Do not risk real capital if you don't know what you're doing. So, Solo Amazon, we're going to talk about on Thursday. That's a standalone service. It's our gateway drug. We only trade Amazon in Solo Amazon, hence the name. You today can get access to what's called full throttle, and I'll show you that in a second. If you're ready, Wiz, I know what I'm doing, or I'm pretty sure your training is going to be good. I want to actually start trading live money. Well, on the right side of the fence, we have our investment clubs. You could join what's called the Hunters today. I'll show you how to do that. Or Max Afterburner. That's our lifetime group. A little bit more of investment. You get access to everything forever and can give it to a loved one. That's a down the road thing we can talk about. But on the training side of the fence, Solo Amazon on Thursday, full throttle, you're going to get access to the 9 training sessions I just showed you. Those things, when I go play Secret Shopper at some other crappy places, they're charging thousands of dollars for that crap. I'm like, it's like a dude in front of a whiteboard on a VHS tape. I'm like, oh my God, that's awful. And then our live trade briefs. Our live trade briefs, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we'll cover that in a second. But Options Weapons School, I just showed you building block approach. There's all your Options Weapons School training. Become a member today. Go start watching them. Session 1. You're also going to get your manuals, man. Download these, print them out, grab a highlighter, sit on the couch, do whatever you need to do. Primary, intermediate, and advanced. These manuals complement the Options Weapons School training. Okay. Tuesday, right now, you're in what's called the primary live trade brief, Tuesday at 10 a.m. Tomorrow, Wednesday, 10 a.m., we're going to go through what's called AR, Accelerated Retirement. Longer dated trades, sometimes more conservative, focused on, building capital over time. Okay. And then Solo Amazon, it's usually every Monday at 10 a.m., but I was on an airplane from Aspen through Denver to come home, so we didn't do a brief yesterday. I'm moving that this week to Thursday. It is not part of Full Throttle, okay? When you join, go to the App Store. It's called Go Collab. That is the name of the app, okay? Go Collab. It's opening right now. You could be watching this brief on there. You could be getting the alerts. Everything is on. That's what it looks like right there. Or actually, I took screenshots of what it looks like. So today, and I just showed you we have 291 members. We're growing, and that's why we're not doing 25 this week, only 15. There's 219 in here, and there's 291 in here. So the Hunters is what you can join today. You can't join Lifetime today. Okay, it's restricted. Okay, so let me actually just go tell you how you can join. And then, yes, I will take questions in a second. So Full Throttle right here, folks. It is $295 a month if you just want to keep kicking the tires. Okay, $295 a month. I would not do that one. This is the deal, $29.95 for a year. Hell, I can pay with that with a trade, maybe 2 trades. I can do that in a day usually, folks. But anyway, this gets you access to the Hunters, that investment club, okay? This does not. The Full Throttle monthly is kind of to keep kicking the tires. 2 briefs each week, Options Weapons School, the manuals, stuff like that. This is all of that, plus access to the Hunters, the group I just showed you. You know what, Wiz? I want to try out the Hunters for a couple months before I do an annual. Great. Then we have a kick the tires for the hunters. This is kick the tires, no hunters. This is kick the tires with the hunters, the investment club. This is the I'm ready to go now. Folks, everybody who does this eventually upgrades. The annual is a 50% discount. Me, I'd love you to be in the monthly hunters the rest of your life. Don't do that. Try monthly hunters, and then, you know what? I'm ready to upgrade, and I want to do the annual. Does that make sense? Tire kickers over here. Do you have a free trial? Yeah, you're in it. It's so funny when people say that. I'm like, yeah, I'm giving you 3 days of live trading for free. Most places charge for that. I'm going to give you 3 days for free. There's your trial. If you want to keep kind of trial, I'm a professional, folks. It's $295 a month. Okay. Questions. I'd say 85 to 90% of TGO members are in the full throttle max annual. Why? Because I can pay for that in the blink of an eye. Steve, yes, before we place any trade, we're going to talk about when we're going to get out of it. For example, I'm going to show you my SOP, my standard operating procedure. For example, in a credit spread, 7, 8, 9, I'm going to get out with a 70, 80, 90% profit. Or I'm going to exit the trade at double the credit that I took in. I know I'm going fast. Synthetic stock, I don't touch them. I'll exit that trade in December of 27 for a shitload of money, I guarantee you. Why don't you set a stop loss on your synthetic stock? Because, knock on wood, in the decades I've been doing this, I've never been in a synthetic stock that was underwater. There's one exception. Apple. I had synthetic stock on Apple. When did it break 100? Like 10 years ago. I had synthetic stock on Apple, and I had disaster puts at 90, and it like broke 100. What did I do? I closed the puts for a profit and added more synthetic stock. Apple rebounded, and I printed even more money. So, ladies and gentlemen, do not do synthetic stock on names that suck. that are might go to. You only do synthetic stock on names that are going to move up and right over the next couple of years. So, technically, I don't set a profit target until I exit it. Right? Yeah, Tony, I bailed out of Boeing, man. Why not do a bull credit spread on CBOE? Well, William, guess what this trade is? Lady, so what is this, man? That's a bull put spread right there, isn't it? The 250, 200 is a very wide bull put spread, isn't it? It's a wide bull put spread that helps fund that call purchase. So I did do that, right? Think about it, William. I sold the 250 put. I bought the 200. That's a bull put spread, which is also what? A credit spread. And it bought that at the money call. Do another one. I wouldn't do another one. I'm not doubling up on trades. For all the new folks, went way too long. Most of my briefs are an hour, not an hour and a half. My ass is killing me. So this was a long one because I wanted to give my 2025 debrief and 2026 targeting brief. Wednesday, Thursday ain't going to be this long. So my apologies if people had to bail. Reminder, this is the replay page. This will be posted here shortly after I get up and stretch my legs and the video renders. Okay. That will be the replay page. Obviously on this page are stuff from October, which is old. Oh, good. They already removed the ones underneath it. Okay. So this replay will be up here. All the other replays will be up here on this page as well. There you go. All the options are on this page right now. And you know what, Wiz, even though you're doing solo Amazon on Thursday, I'm going to take it now. You can get your solo Amazon upsell on this page as well. Okay. Jan, yep, I already did. I was going to send that out in a couple seconds, but I'll show you. I got filled. My short calls on Amazon out to Friday are the 227.5 calls. I was going to do all that stuff tomorrow, but yes. 227.5 on Amazon. We're going to talk about Amazon next or on Thursday, but yeah, 227.5 short calls. Remember, folks, I'm only taking 15. We like a nice, small, tight-knit squadron. This is the hunters right here. We have 291. We're only going to take 15. You won't be the 16th person. We will be closed, okay? This is our Intel and commentary thread where we post our Intel and commentary. And then there's the trade alerts only thread. Because some people only like, I don't care what your Intel is or what people are talking about. I just want the trades. Well, guess what? This is the trade alerts thread right there. Okay. 295 to keep kicking the tires. Do the annual now, folks. You save money. I want you in the 295 or the 497, but that's why we came up with an annual to save you all some money. Okay. All right. Tomorrow, accelerated retirement AR. Looking forward to that, and then solo Amazon on Thursday, folks. 2026 is going to be interesting, man. It is WIPA. War, inflation, politics, AI. All of those things are going to bring a ton of volatility to these markets. There is no chance, zero chance that the Republicans don't get destroyed. The way the president's pivoting, trying to pivot his language, affordability, it's a hoax, it's a scam, it's a Democrat thing. What? I forgot to mention at the beginning, and maybe God did that on purpose. His tweet about Rob Reiner was an absolute fucking disgrace. The guy is slaughtered, and his bride were slaughtered by their son. And that's what he has to say. I don't care if it happened to Trump, what Rob Reiner would have said. Rise above it. If you don't have something to say about somebody nice, don't say it. It's disgusting. And the people not too many people defending it, only the dyed cultist MAGA people are trying to defend what he said. It's an absolute disgrace. What did he say? William, go find it, man. It's about Rob Reiner had Trump derangement syndrome, and his kid was nuts, and he made the murder of two people and a horrific family tragedy about him and how people have Trump derangement syndrome. People were getting fired for how they reacted to Charlie Kirk's death. How the president reacted to Rob Reiner's death is an absolute fucking disgrace. Period. No if or what they did. And, well, hey, man, when you wrestle with a pig, you get dirty and the pig has fun. Let's end on a high note, not that low note here. Ladies and gentlemen, the market is not the economy. The high note is this. We're going to print money next year. It doesn't matter. I prefer down markets because volatility goes through the roof and blood in the streets. As an American, as Wiz, I don't want a down market. Because if you don't join, you're going to get hammered. Most people don't know how to trade a down market, right? Most people don't know how to trade a market that goes sideways. We have tactics that will help you print money in any market condition, folks, up, down, or sideways. So that's the high note. Join Topkin Options today, folks. Like I said, my phone buzzed a couple times, so that's like awesome. 2 or 3 new members. So I'll close the doors when we hit 15, and we'll get airborne. We're gonna have a great year. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. or on the replay, and Thursday at 10 a.m. As well. I know, Robin. I was about to say it. I was shocked, but then I was like, you know what? I'm not shocked, which is sad. It's absolutely sad. I posted. Here's what I said, man. Where's my? I forget. I channeled Dunn. Right? He had a great right here. I could not stand Rob Reiner and his politics. However, any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind. God bless their souls. I also pray for their son, who clearly is suffering and disconnected from God. May he seek forgiveness from our Father. It would have been super awesome if the president could have pulled something like that together, and he just simply could not. You want to follow me on X? There's my Twitter account. And finally, like I said, if you want to go, here's the flyby video from the NHL alumni game. Put it on your calendar, man. If you're a hockey fan, join me next year out in Aspen. This time, it's so cool. It's such a great time. So many good people, and raising money for No Fallen Heroes, and also for the Colorado Extreme. It's good stuff. So, all right, guys. Again, sorry I went way too long. We won't do this for the next 2 days. If you got any questions, shoot me an email. Hey, I have a question about membership or stuff like that. Just whiz, WHIZ, at topgunoptions.com. But I think we already got 3, looks like a monthly and 2 annuals. So welcome aboard to the smart people so far. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Fights on. Namaste. And basi. Whiz out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.